Okay, so hi everyone. Welcome to this year's final meetup. And the topic of this week is going to be a Devconnect Istanbul highlights. So without further ado, let's start right now. Okay. Working. So this is the agenda for today. So we'll start with some announcements, money roundup, and then I'll be sharing a little bit about volunteering and Devconnect, and then Wing will be sharing about her experience volunteering if a global. And the next session we're going to have the people who attended the hackathon in Devconnect to share about the experience. And at 3 p.m. we're going to have Wei Han to share about the journey of his Ethereum fellowship program. After that is some Devconnect event highlight sharing, and then at 3:30 we're going to have some food and lepak. So this one is the first announcement. Actually, I also learned this recently in Devconnect. So there's this next billion fellowship going on, and apparently it's not like necessarily has to be technical. If you can see, like the project could be something like a decentralized app, piece of research, organizational initiative, or something else entirely. So there's no strict rules on this. And if you scan the QR code, it will bring you to the application, and you can submit your application by January 15. So I talked to some people who have attended this fellowship program. They said that the main thing that got into it is they have to share some stories, interesting stories in the Ethereum space. So the next one, so this is actually who's from APU. I think there's one person. So actually, APU has received the Road to DEFCON grant, and I think they're going to have a series of workshops follow in the future. And actually, this Road to DEFCON grant is actually you can apply with community meetups, university clubs, workshops, educational initiatives, or other community activities. Yep. So moving on. So on this one, so we're going to have a node workshop happening very, very soon. So this node workshop is actually sponsored by Ethereum Foundation. So the vision is to have like local communities to run node hardware, minimum for 6 months. So I think we're going to start next Saturday. This node workshop is hosted by Nick. So if you can scan that QR code, it's actually a Telegram group, so that you can receive more further updates in the group. Okay. So the next part is ETHKL in Devconnect. Actually, I think we have around like 20 to 30 people attending Devconnect, but we managed to only gather like 7 people to take a photo. I think that's good enough. And in Devconnect, so we actually have people winning hackathon prizes. It's right there. Eason and also Wen Kang actually won first place with the project of ML Village. So afterwards, we're going to have them to share about this project as well. And next, we also have our ETH Global top finalists. And one of the members are here, Brian. Okay. So Brian is actually part of this Footy Stars project. So if you're interested, there's a project link. We also have Brian to share about like his experience, like being one of the top 10 finalists in ETH Global. Yep. And that's all for the announcements. So I'll pass it on to Harif to talk about the monthly roundup. Yep.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Shinkai. So there's a lot of stuff that's been happening over this last 1 month. I don't think we can cover even close to the all that's happened, but we'll make an attempt to do so. The first one is already old news by now, but I guess thank you, CZ, for the sacrifice. So for those who don't know, CZ's resigned as the CEO of Binance amidst a bunch of regulatory issues. Whether rightly or wrongly, a bunch of people seem to portray CZ as the martyr for dying so everyone can see the pump happen. But yeah, so that's the biggest news for the last 1 month. Then how many here have like followed the story with the Kyber exploiter? A little bit. Yeah, so there is this very complex hack that was happened. If later when we have the video of the Ipoh meetup, Isaac from Ipoh actually did a very good explanation of what the exploiter did, so you can follow there. But the very uh, morbidly funny thing that this guy did was he actually sent an on-chain message to Kyber, and well, I shouldn't say he, it might be a she. This person said that they are happy to give back the funds if they can take over the protocol of Kyber, if they become the person in charge. There's some rumors around like this kind of arrogance and the style of the hack is similar to what another exploit happened. So some people suspect it might be the same person. But yeah, that's something that we might find out later on when this person, when or if this person gets caught and sort of sent to authorities. Yeah, so this is the message. You can see it on ETHKL to see the full message on chain. Another one, I guess, relatively controversial. I don't know what people here think, good or bad. There is this new quote unquote L2 that is launched backed by Paradigm. It's gotten, I think these numbers are already outdated by now. It's probably closer to 1 billion. But the kind of the catch is actually not an L2 yet. There's no chain that's up and running. It's a contract where you can deposit but you can't withdraw. And my understanding is the contract is controlled by some multi-sigs. So theoretically, the people behind this, who are also the people behind the Blur NFT marketplace, if they wanted to rug everyone, then that's a bunch of money that they can rug with. But if you are one of the optimists, then you can see this very strong interest in this new L2. And one of the things that they do is that they use staked Ether. So when you're using this chain with your Ether, you're also earning staking returns from it. Another cool thing that I don't know how many people also realize is that Google, who I think last year added support for searching your address on Google, and that was only for Ethereum. But now they've added it for a bunch of other EVM chains as well. So you can see here there's at least Arbitrum Optimism, but there's also a bunch more. So that's kind of a slow, small step towards mass adoption. There is this big hack which I thought was gonna like cause everyone to panic and people would sell, but in fact people actually went and kind of increased the price even more. But and it's not just a third web issue; it's also an issue with the Open Zeppelin library. And the way the third web library interacts with this Open Zeppelin library causes this vulnerability. My understanding is actually not just third web, like other libraries who do the same thing. When you interact with Open Zeppelin, it causes kind of a way for a hacker to exploit. And apparently there's like a lot, like thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of contracts who might be vulnerable. So we'll see how this news develops, because I think it's only been in the last few days. If you start seeing more of like these DeFi or whatever contracts starting to get hacked more, then that the panic might spread. But so far, people don't seem to be too worried. Then for some local news, so Pentas, the NFT marketplace that's done by a Malaysian team, they received a grant from MDEC of, I believe, 4 million ringgit. And they are saying that anyone out there can participate. I believe you need to create an NFT art of some kind. And there's like maybe a couple other criteria, but not like too difficult. And you stand to win up to 4,000 ringgit. And it's open to 1,000 participants. So yeah, for any of you who are into creating art on chain, you could do this on Pentas and be rewarded this airdrop by the Malaysian government. And how many here is aware of this licensed custodian, digital asset custodian license that the Malaysian authorities, I think the Securities Commission are providing? Does anybody know? All right, one hand. So yeah, this other than the licensed digital asset exchanges, There's also been, I think over the last couple of years, that they've been working on providing this framework for digital asset custodians. I don't think anyone here would need this service, but if you imagine like corporates or people in the normie world who want to have like put some amount of their treasury or some amount of their funds into crypto, then they can actually do this. And so we have just had last month the first one to be launched. So that's Co-Keeps, and it's a local team. And I think a couple of their devs actually joined the ETHKL conference last month. So that's a good story. And maybe we can get them to share a bit about their technology sometime soon. This one is, I only put it here because, and it's actually been, I think just yesterday, that MetaMask announced that they are unlocking ways for people to buy crypto, presumably using fiat. They say local transfers in Malaysia, so I'm not sure what that means exactly. If anyone's like willing to try, you can check it out. There must be a reason why they didn't put Malaysia up there. So maybe it's like not as straightforward. But my understanding is that you can buy crypto using fiat on MetaMask. Yeah, so if you can do that, and if you want to farm a potential MetaMask airdrop, you can do that with Ringgit. And I believe this is the last one. So after Devconnect happened last month, so ETH Global already announced their calendar for 2024. And relevant for a lot of Malaysians is that ETH Global in Singapore will be at the end of September, 20th to 22nd. So it's not very far for Malaysians to travel. So you can go there, join the hackathon, potentially continue the streak from this year. And DevCon will likely be in November in Southeast Asia, and there might be a series of events or a circuit of events throughout the region, including KL. So look out for that. And maybe, if you join hackathons across the entire 2-month period, there's like maybe a special prize or something. NFA, please don't take my word for this. That should be it for the monthly roundup. And I'm going to give it back to Shekhar.
Okay, thank you, Harif. So in my part, I'm going to share a little bit of my experience and volunteering at Devconnect. I'm part of the social media team. I think there are one person, Hapid, who is also volunteering there as well. Yeah. And after this, I'm going to have Wing to share about her volunteering at ETH Global. Yeah, so basically this photo is actually like summarize what Devconnect is actually. So this is the co-working space. So it's beautifully made. And this is the Devconnect is actually the event, the series of events are actually happening surrounding this co-working space. And yeah, it's basically like the soul of the event where people can co-work and here while also joining other events all around. Yeah. So volunteering in Devconnect, as you can see, they are very, very, it's a volunteer-run event. So you can see that there are a lot of posts. Like for example, you could be at the co-working space. You could be at the registration, help desk, also navigation and all that. So yeah, so these are the roles. But for me, myself, my role is a bit special. So actually my role is social media. And that means that I have a lot more flexibility, not just standing at one post at one place. So I can just go to any events, but that comes with a cost as well. So part of my work is I have to interview people because we have, if you look at the right, we have this daily recap. Day 1 is actually lasts until day 7. So in this daily recap videos, there's actually interviews of people saying like, what is Ethereum? So for example, it's like what ethos of Ethereum that you align with. So there's a series of questionnaires that we have to ask these people. And yeah, that's part of my KPI as well. And apart from that, I also, this is for lesser portion is like I also help to the help desk in the Devconnect Community Hub Telegram group. So it's like someone missing some item, so I'm going to reply to them and then direct them to the right channels. And the third one is actually a little more posh. I would say it's lesser. So sometimes I also do like go to these events and then do some summaries of these events. For example, the this is the summary that I written, and then it's uploaded in Devconnect. But I think there are fewer posts like this. Mostly I just shoot and then whether they accept or not. Yeah. Okay. So funny story on this because one of the days they actually asked me to interview someone who is like quite native in the space. So for me to chase my KPI, I actually interviewed Harif, and that video and his portion of the video actually get included in one of the recap videos, and it's also been included in the overall Devconnect video as well. So yeah, so that's my KPI for the event. And actually for volunteer perks, right? First of all, you get one unique Devconnect sweater, and also like for all the days, you also get a free lunch and dinner. Although the food is like people complain that the food is not that great, but it's still free. And for me specifically, as a social media team, I get to go around these expensive events that I was not even, I can't even like register and go. Like I'm just blocked right here because I'm not technical. And actually, one of the most, I would say, the best perk is like I got invited to exclusive Ethereum events. So when I talk to someone, it's like, oh, this person actually works in Ethereum. This person works in PSC. This person is a grantee of the Ethereum grant. So at the photo at the very, you might see that Vitalik is over there as well. Yeah. So I secretly took a photo of him. So I kind of like, I also talked to him as well. I asked him for a photo, but he said he doesn't look good at photos. But yeah. So those are the volunteer perks. And the key learnings for me, the key learnings for me actually is like, I can see that Devconnect, there's the efficient handling of volunteers at the big scale event. And I also get to know a lot about the behind the scenes of the video production, and also like a lot of community leaders. Get to know about a lot of community leaders who are also volunteering. So I think there's like you never know. Like you meet someone who is volunteering that he's actually a community manager of Brazil, for example. Yeah. So those are some of the key learnings. So how much time do I have? Okay. So I'd like to pass it to Harpreet. Do you have one, two sentence, maybe in a minute, to also share a little bit about your experience volunteering in Devconnect?
Oh, this for the video, right? Interestingly, actually, this is not my first time. I've been going to the previous Devconnect events as well, the first one, and then DevCon and other Ethereum global events as well. And I keep going to it. I kind of became like a junkie because one of the things that I really enjoy is actually going in and meeting people from various different backgrounds, different communities, trying to come to an Ethereum event, and trying to be part of it, trying to volunteer, trying to make a difference, right? So I kind of vibe to that same energy. I felt like like these guys are kind of cool people, trying like running communities all around the world. I just like the energy. So why I keep going back? The perks are nice, but I think it's just the people, the community, the energy, right? So it's just that sometimes you want to be in a circle of like-minded people, right? Where you can share ideas, you can discuss, you can actually try to say like, hey, like we have this in Malaysia, what do you have there? Right? Sometimes the mentor is about food, right? So I mean, like we can talk about the volunteer food not being so great, but but if you compare it, I mean, like even in the previous ones, actually wasn't so great as well, but we still enjoyed it because we were something different, right? Maybe because we are using spices in Malaysia. In Istanbul, the spices are a bit different, right? So coming from Malaysia, it felt like, oh, maybe we are stepped down, right? Coming from Colombia and Chile, there was like a huge step up, right? So it depends on where you come from, right? So once you start to go up and try different foods, different cultures, different people, different ideas, different communities, that's where I think, like we kind of I think that's like the whole essence of why things like this are done, right? Even the whole name Devconnect is actually meant to be connecting developers and kind of spawning new ideas. I think with that, I'll pass back to you, man.
Okay, so that's on volunteering at Devconnect. So Wing, would you like to share a little bit about like a different event? Actually, it's kind of like in the same venue, but maybe share a bit about your volunteering experience in ETH Global Hackathon. Yeah.
Hi everyone. Hi, my name is Wing. Yeah, it was my first time at volunteering at the ETH Global event. I actually applied like in May, I think, and I forgot about it. And one day I just got an email. I was like, oh, okay. So I went for an interview, and then I got through, and I was thinking, should I go? Should I not? And then I remember talking to Harif. I was like, should I go? And then he was like, oh, you can just go and meet friends and things like that. But yeah, I'm glad I went. It was a great opportunity to meet various people. Although ETH Global, for context purposes, is a hackathon. Essentially, if you saw like Harris money roundouts, like the last one, they have it in different countries every year. So these bunch of volunteers actually move around country to country to actually run the event itself. So once you're part of the community, you can actually then go for the other countries that they're going to go for. Sorry. So yeah, I think all in all, it's just a great learning experience to connect with people, to meet new people, and as well as just be part of the atmosphere. The snow was great. So I did a midnight shift, by the way, so it was really boring at night. But like the whole idea was that if I do a midnight shift, I can wake up and still go and sightsee, right? So I was like, okay, let's just do that. But not sure if I regret because then I was very tired throughout the day. But the good thing is because my shift was at 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. in the morning, around 5:30 or 6 it started snowing for both the days. So then I went out to like look at the snow. So that was a interesting experience. I haven't seen the snow before myself. So that was the first time. Other than that, I think sometimes I just took naps throughout the night because there's nothing much to do if you do the night shift, by the way. So but yeah, other than that, it's pretty cool. You get to do things like swag packing, judging support. I think that's pretty interesting. But it's more of just a event operations. I didn't get as much perks as these guys over there, getting like special Ethereum events and whatnot. But I did get access to the whole hackathon itself. Free lunch, free dinner, and I get paid. So I don't know which one is better. But yeah, they pay you like by the hour. So the more hours you do, essentially you get to cover for your cost or maybe actually fund your next trip as well. Yeah. Cool.
So thank you, Wing. So on the next part, so I'm going to have Wen Kang, Brian, and Ethan to the front, and we're going to do like a small mini panel. Okay, so out of you three, so who is in the Starknet hackathon? Okay, so the way that I will start this conversation is I'll begin with talking to you guys about your experience in Starknet hackathon, and then after that I'll move forward to Brian, who'll talk about like his experience and ETH Global and how does it feel. So first, Ethan, I will start with Ethan first. So Ethan, could you like introduce your projects in Starknet hackathon?
Yep, sure. So my name is Eason, and during the hackathon for the Starknet Hacker House, both of us were in the same team. Our project is called ML Village. It's basically a ZKML service provider. So we basically run machine learning models that are provable, and we run it for people who want to use it. And yeah, that's basically like the gist of it. So the experience there. I would say it's pretty fun. It's my first ever like legit hacker house. Last year I was in the DevCon Scholars program. I consider that also a hacker house because everyone's in the same place. But I think like this is more of what a hacker house really is because it's more of like where all the nerds gather, and so it's super fun. But yeah, I would say it's pretty fun. You want to share?
Honestly, he has covered all the points. We literally are in the same team. So yeah, it's pretty fun. Although it's one of the hacker house that I would say is a bit more stringent with the rules comparatively. So it's not my first hacker house rodeo because it's free stay. Everyone likes free stay. And this hacker house is more towards you have to build something in 3 days. And basically for that 3 days we are trying to come up with something to build, some use cases. We're talking to our mentors, and yeah, we came up with Memo Village, which is fun. We actually use Giza, which is a framework for building this, and we managed to actually get working, so to say, proving and verified model working. It's tic-tac-toe. It's a very crappy tic-tac-toe model, but it works like nicely. It's provable. It's verifiable. So yeah, I would say it's a pretty fun experience in general.
I see. So the three of you, are you guys staying in hacker houses? Brian, do you stay in a hacker house?
I actually stayed in. Wait, me right? Yeah, I actually stayed in Eduda. So they provided us a stay in a hotel nearby the event for ETH Global. Yeah, I didn't join any hacker house like Starknet or there. I think there's another hacker house, right? Don't remember what. Yeah, I think there's a lot. Yeah, but I stayed at Eduda house.
So basically, you're staying. Is it free of charge
Yeah,
for the accommodation? So could you like go through the process? Like, how do you find these places? Like applying to EduDAO. It's like yeah.
Oh, for me, because last time I attended EduDAO's hacker house in Singapore, and then I think Vincent told me about the hacker house in Istanbul. So I reached out to them. They gave me a Luma link, and then just applied there, and then got in to the hacker house. Yeah.
Is there any like requirements? Do you need to send in your GitHub repo, something like that?
No, I don't think so. Last time I did. Yeah, but then it's for like mostly students. A lot of students that stayed in EduDAO's hacker house, so we get to meet like a lot of students from around the world. Then yeah.
So I'll move on to Wenkang. So like applying for Starknet Hacker House. So how is it like? Is it very strict? Do you have a lot of interviews, etc.?
For Starknet, yes. So I think Ethan probably also experienced it. So to actually get in, you have to like answer quite long form of questions, and then in there, actually they ask you if you have any knowledge about the Starknet ecosystem. Have you built anything? What's your previous projects? What have you done in the Starknet ecosystem? They ask all these kind of questions. For me, it's what's a bit easier due to the fact that I've participated in previous Starknet events and I won some Starknet bounties before, and that's why generally for me it's quite stress free. But they still like require things like, hey, you have to confirm all these details. You have to say exactly what you're going to build. Actually, I think the proposals currently work. So Ethan can probably talk more about the proposal process, where you actually have to complete an entire proposal in Starknet Hacker House cases to talk about what I'm going to build, what's the milestone, all the details, like an actual accelerator program, I would say, in a sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so like what he mentioned, right? There is a lot of like requirements for Starknet Hacker House specifically. Like for example, you have to join some of their boot camps. You have to learn using like I think it's called Node Cairo, which is like a platform to learn Cairo. No Guardians, yeah. So yeah, it's quite strict, but not every hacker house is like that. Like what Brian mentioned, some of it is just you just register. I also did join another hacker house after that, but we'll leave it for later. The experience for Starknet Hacker House, you have to do like a proposal because when you go in, you have technically it was for 4 days. But you would have to come up with a business idea. And I think it's because they want you to actually build impactful products and actually like launch it after that rather than, just go in there, do something, win some prizes, and then just leave. So yeah, that's basically how it works there.
Okay. So Ethan and Wengkang, could you probably share about like what's the process of you working on the project? What's the project name?
ML Village.
ML Village, right?
Yeah.
So how do you guys divide your work? I think there's also a mentor involved.
Yeah.
So like, could you guys walk me through the process? Like 3 days, right? So
Yeah.
what do you have to build? As are there any like prerequisites of the things that you must build, etc.?
Yeah, so basically, like what I mentioned just now, we need to have a business idea or a proposal. So at least a 6-month road plan, a roadmap on like what we plan to do. And I think on the first day, we haven't even decided on our idea yet. It was late at night and we had to like propose it to our mentor. And our mentor said that it's not gonna work. And so we were like, oh shit, okay, so we have to pivot really quickly. And I think midnight was when we actually finalized the idea. So we said, okay, let's sleep on it. And then the next day we'll actually get started. That left us with like, yeah, less than 3 days actually to actually build it out. Yeah, but I would say we are quite lucky because our team was very balanced. We have people that are familiar with ML itself, people that are familiar with Cairo, with backend, front end. So honestly, it was pretty smooth. Yeah. What do you think?
I'm the one doing the back end for context. Wouldn't say the back end is very smooth, but I know the front end is very smooth. He keep getting carried on front end by Ethan here. Yeah, I suck at that. But yeah, back end, it was there was a lot of things that we are trying to figure out because basically we're trying to figure out a lot of details in the code itself for the verification of the proof, the zero knowledge proof that we're trying to generate. A bit more context on the product itself because it's a platform that allows a general user to submit their model, which would then be converted into essentially a circuit, which would then be run with the inference, and we will also generate a proof of that inference result. So that process of converting like a normal model, which is usually in the Onyx format, into a Cairo model, which is in Giza's own model format. That is a challenge because you have to convert on demand, which after a few days of at least one day of solving the bug, we managed to do it. Quite clutch. And then after that, there was this problem about verifying, and in the end, we managed to do it. Me and Vincent are the one that working on it, and yeah, that was a really fun process. The last few hours was very very exciting, I would say, where we all just scramble, try to get things to work as expected before the presentation. But yeah, generally, yeah, that's the process. Yeah.
We finished 2 minutes before the deadline.
Yeah, that's actually, yeah, we finished 2 minutes. So 2 minutes before the deadline, everything worked together, and we're like, yeah, let's just go. It's pretty exciting. Yeah.
Cool. Before we go, Harif, can I have a time check? 45? 2:45. Okay. Okay. We still have 15 minutes, I think. Is it? Is it? Oh, okay. So I think we can ask it afterwards. Yeah. Okay. So winning the hackathon, right? So like you guys mentioned that there's no like prizes and all that. So what in return do you get actually? Or
Yeah. So for Stucknet's hackathon, there was no prizes. No, actually, I think on their website they mentioned that there will be prizes, but they didn't mention what are those prizes. Yeah, basically we got debated. There's no prizes. The prize is that they support us in actually building the business out. Yeah. So if you're not planning to like make it happen, you technically just wasted your time. But no lah, you still gain a lot because like the people that you meet, the people that you get to talk to, I think those are like really valuable. But yeah, that's what we get for the hackathon.
okay. So how about Wengkang?
Yeah, pretty jarated. I was thinking about getting my plane ticket back from the hackathon winning. I was very excited when I got first place with them, and I was dead. But I think after the hackathon, all of us were so dead. We were just dying. Like we are going to our room, like just disappearing for a few hours because we are all just passed out from like multiple days of work. And then some of us like we got the prize and we're like, oh shit, and then we just went to sleep. And then only when we woke up and we started to prepare for like the next presentation, which was in the Startnet CC itself, that we like, oh yeah, we won. Guys, we won. Yeah, it's pretty funny. But yeah, other than the prizes, you do get to meet like very OG people in the Startnet community, people that build out the infrastructure for machine learning, people that actually build out a ZK even, right? People that are there from the start, people that has already built something in the ecosystem and you can connect to, which is just pretty amazing. And since it's such a strict hacker house, you really get to meet very quality controlled people. Of course, yeah, you do have to commit for 3 days, but yeah, it's generally that's what I think. It's quite worth it in that sense.
Nice, that's interesting. So right now we're going to move on to the Brian to talk about his the process. Like, what's your project in ETH Global? Can you,
Okay,
like,
so for my project, we created like a football manager game where the project was to make like a platform like we use NFT like for the players, then we like can put a wager to play against other people, other teams. Then we use ZKML to like generate the result between when you play against other people, which then allows you to like uh, you wouldn't need to trust the black box like simulation. You would then be able to prove the machine learning and like yeah, you can trust the calculations and all. So the game was that you like can put the NFT to like your strategy, then you can like put a strategy like how you attack, how you defend, and then with that all the inputs go into the ZKML and like create you can verify like the proof of it. Yeah, that's the
cool.
project.
So which part are you working on? Front end, back
I
end?
helped out I mostly did the front end. That's why if you see the project, the front end is, I think it's on the video. But then it was like a simple front end, and then I helped out the smart contracts. Then my teammate Hatsume did the ZKML. Vincent did the helped out with front end and also smart contract. ZK focused on the smart contract, and then one more guy, Delkin, did the pitching. Some like a mastermind.
So there's a lot of people saying that this year's hackathon, the time frame is a little bit short compared to previously. So like so Brian would like to ask you like how do you guys manage to do something in such a short frame of time? So what strategies do you guys use? Yeah.
Yeah, so for our team, it was my first time for ETH Global offline hackathon. It wasn't for Vincent and Hatsume, so they told us like, you guys better we better hack outside of the the space, the hacking area in ETH Global, because there it's not very, the Wi-Fi kind of sucks, right? And then like it's too crowded, it's too packed. So what we did was for the day one, we like search out for the bounties, right? We learn all about it and picked out which one we want to use. Then we did like brainstorming what we want to do for the project. The hackathon started at around 9 p.m., right? So by then we like planned out what we want to make. Then at night we started hacking all day until the morning. But then day one to day two was we hack ourselves. We just divided our work and then everyone did their part. And then second day was we tried to come out and see the space, hacking space. So we came around in the morning. We came together, meet up, hack a bit. Then we, as I mentioned, like we decided to hack ourselves at home at a hotel. We came together, hotel, and then hack all, grind it, and then that's how we did the project.
I see, I see. So back to Wenkang. So like if you want to compare like these two hackathons, right? So how do you feel comparing, like especially when you are working doing like a hackathon marathon essentially? So did that affect you or yeah, how do you feel like comparing these two hackathons?
So I think most people will be confused when you talk about a marathon, but So me and Ethan decided it would be a good idea, including Vincent. Like a lot of us decided it would be a good idea to go for Startnet Hacker House and then go for ETHKL. So I did participate in ETHKL as well. Yeah, it did affect. Yeah, I was very burnt out at that point actually. So during the hackathon, I don't really have an idea when going in the hackathon itself. My teams also don't really have an idea. So we basically chilled a lot. I would say the difference is that one, like for Startnet Hackathon, it's framed as a hacker house. So a lot of times it's basically a very close community, a very close group of people that you actually interact with, and you have a mentor. You have a very specific mentor. You have a very specific space that you know you're going to hack at. The space is amazing because it's literally a 5-star hotel that was provided by Startnet. So that's very very nice compared to if Global, which is a bunch of people, and you're competing for the space. You're competing for basically everything. That's the internet. Those are really slow there, and like him as well. I do go back to my hotel to hack as well. Like I went to one of my teammates Airbnb to hack in the middle of it. Um, I would say if Global, I go in with a different mentality because of how it's structured. So if Global, I would usually look for bounties, and then I will work on like a specific idea that just so happen to use that bounty. Whereas the Startnet Hacker House, when we have an idea and we're basically executing on it, there's no specific bounties. It's basically just we want a good idea and we just go for it, right? So I think that's one of the bigger difference. In the If Global, we have this notion of bounties. You have to want to hunt for the bounties essentially, maximize your gains in a way, right? That sounds like really bad, if you think about it, but it is what it is. Yeah.
So this speaking about this, right? I think this question suits Ethan a lot more. Like compared to all the four, like there are four hackathon projects that teams, right? So Ethan actually won quite a number of bounties, for example. So do you have a strategy in mind when looking into this? So like, what's your thought process and how do you feel essentially?
Okay. So yeah, you can see there, in my team is literally just 2 people. So I remember when I registered for the hackathon, I didn't know it was 36 hours because I saw it was 17 to 19 November. So that's 3 days. I was like, oh, it's not that bad. So I registered, and then I think Wing probably told me that it starts at 9 p.m. and it ends at 9 a.m. And I was like, there's no way. There's just no way. Okay. But right before the hackathon started, I checked the agenda and I realized it was really just 36 hours. And I was like, okay, we're screwed. So we didn't even come up with the plan before the hackathon even start. So literally at 9 o'clock, we got together and we're like, okay, what are we gonna do, right? So we tried to filter out like what. So of course we came up with the idea. So we came up with like a delivery platform, but the idea also sort of like changed midway. But we sort of filtered out through the bounties like which one would make sense to integrate. But one of the strategy is to actually talk with your sponsors as much as you can. Because by talking to your sponsors, you get to know whether or not they would even offer a price if you integrate it that way. For some sponsors, they feel like it's too minor, like you're just adding it for the sake of adding it, then they don't give you the price. Then they'll straight up tell you that, like, I don't think this would work. So then you know, okay, I'm not going to invest my time in that. But it was quite challenging because um, we both stayed outside of the quite far from the venue. And I think so. Keng, which is the guy in the pink hoodie, he took taxis, but I didn't because of the taxi scams. So I had to walk to my hotel like on one of the nights because I had to go back and shower, right? And my place was like, okay, to go from my hotel back to the venue, the hill was this steep. So you had to climb the hill up. Going down is easy, but like going back to the venue, wow, I really wanted to die. And somehow we didn't have enough sleep. I think we only slept like total of 2 hours. We did the whole hackathon. But yeah, we had to like also split up in order to pitch to the sponsors to sort of cover as much ground up. But yeah, that's basically how it works. Very, very tiring.
I see. So this question goes to Brian next. I think that there's a little bit of issue when you guys applied to Baltis, for example.
Oh,
I think do you guys explain like whether because you guys won the finalists of Give Global, but I think I heard from your team members that you're kind of late to the bounty. So is that the case or?
we were late to like pitch because we finished project like about 5 minutes before the deadline, and then they even extended the deadline, right? So we tried to submit it, and then we came late to the judging area, to the pitching area. So that's one. And then another funny thing is that for our smart contracts, we we try to get as many like networks we can deploy our smart contracts on. I think that's another strategy, right? Yeah. There's one issue that we forgot. I think it's miscommunication, I guess, between the smart contract deployer. That we pitched to, I think, Tyco, or was it Polygon? Oh, I think it's Polygon. Somehow after we pitched, and then like they asked for our address, the smart contract address. Then like we were like, hey, where's the smart contract address? Did you deploy on Polygon, right? Then they said, no. Did you? No. And no one deployed on Polygon. And then they looked interested in our project, but then they said, "Oh, too bad, you didn't even deploy it." So that's one. Yeah, that's just one of the issues. Yeah.
See, Brian. So as because I feel that your project is kind of stands out because it's just a football game. Do you think that this type of projects in general appeal to ETH Global better instead of like other? Let's say if you're working on like a very hardcore ZK project compared to, let's say, a much more creative one like a football game. So what are your thoughts on that, on winning the ETH Global?
Our project basically like focus on the infrastructure, right, rather than like the UI and the game itself. And then like I heard from the audience, like after we like pitched in the finalists, right, on stage, they came up to us and said like, it's like you're very happy that like all the projects are like crypto, like what do you say, like it's not like very interesting. I mean, since ours is a game, like it's very eye-catching for the audience, and they said like, wow, like we've been watching like so much infra and all for the pitching, and then suddenly there's you guys that really eye-catching, and they're very happy that there's one project games that that came out in the finalists. I think that's one of something that makes it appealing, I guess, because it's a game, even though it's also infrastructure actually. But then I think because of the project itself, that makes it interesting. Yeah,
I see. So we have I think 5 more minutes. So we can open to the floor. So does anyone have any questions to either one of these guys?
I was going to ask about
Yeah.
the ZKML solution you guys did. Can you describe it?
sorry.
The ZKML solution.
Oh,
It goes like this.
Oh. You can explain technically.
Okay. What do you want to know?
I think briefly, okay, so what does it do? What was the problem it's trying to solve, and how do you solve it?
Okay. So the problem that we are trying to solve essentially is the notion that we right now, I believe most of the people here know about Kaggle or Hugging Face, which is essentially a way of sharing your models that you've trained, either be it the weights that you have already trained, so you can just use it as a pre-trained model in your application, or just have a place to get your data. In the case of Kaggle, you get data, you can also submit solutions to solve certain problems. So in most of these solutions, it's more of this platform actually, it's more of a platform to share, and it's very much a public good thing. But for people that actually build models, there comes a point where it's not really beneficial to share certain things. For example, if someone came up with a better version of ChatGPT, and they really want to monetize it, they right now, if they want to do this, they either have to go to Google or some other competitor, be it Tesla or whatnot, and they'll have to essentially go there and say, hey, I have a better idea, I've did this research, it's working, I have built the model out, you can now use this, right? And only then it's a lot easier to monetize that way. But again, for people that maybe build it as a hobby or even just want to build it in general, it's very hard for them to build something and then share it out to the world and let people use it without basically compromising the model itself, the details of the model itself. So what we are trying to build essentially is a platform that allows people to share their models kind of privately via essentially, so we will essentially convert a model into like a ZK circuit, and they now can then access, so the users that want to use this model can then access the models that the model makers want to, so to say, monetize. And then through our API, they get to access the model, call the model, monetize the model, and they can still at the same time verify that they are running the correct model. So we provide a place where where we help them share and monetize their model, but at the same time we allow the users itself to verify that they are running the correct thing. So things like what's happening to ChatGPT right now would not happen. So if you use GPT-4, you realize that the performance has dropped quite significantly. There's actually research about this, and that's due to a lot of censoring, so to say. And sometimes it's not good to have censoring sometimes when you want to use it very much commercially, and this does hurt the performance. So in this case, you would like to have your model essentially version, and ZK is a very good way of proving that you are using a specific version of the model. So that's what the platform wants to do. In the future, we do want to also support more open policy of sharing a model publicly, but still have the weights concealed via some ZK techniques as well. But that's currently not like that's. I believe that's in the roadmap, but it's not currently built out for the hackathon. It's 3 days, so forgive us.
That's very good explanation. So I'm thinking there's two things, right, of ZK's value in ML. First one you say is monetizing the model without open sourcing the model, right, basically. And I was thinking for this case, you can monetize a model without open sourcing it by basically hosting it in the Web2 API, right? So in that case, there's no difference, right? I think where ZK is different is that, like you say, on top of that monetization, you can also kind of version control and prove that you are paying for what you paid for, right? Version A, B, C of the model, as opposed to something that is completely opaque, like ChatGPT, right? Where I think the performance changes and people don't know why, because it's like, well, I'm probably calling a different model or something like that, but I wouldn't know, right? So I think probably that's where the biggest value proposition is, right? And
Yep.
I was hoping that you can, if it's not too long, I guess, and we're not sure on time, like elaborate how exactly you do that version and that verification in ZK.
Yeah, sure. So that's done via essentially taking a model that exists. So right now, models are mainly written in Python, but they can be converted to a format called Onyx, which contains all the details about the weights, the connection weights, actually the weights. What else? Sorry, the weights, the nodes, and all that. So essentially, the architecture and all the values to do with it after like a training. And all this will be essentially converted into a circuit, in this case, a ZK circuit, which is referring to a bunch of polynomials, but they are represented in circuits. And these polynomials are essentially used for the generation of proof on each inference. So on each run of this model, so let's say you are sending some prompt in and you want to get an output on each run, we essentially pass this value into the model itself, get the result, and also at the same time we pass this value to the ZK proof generator essentially, and it would generate a proof. So this proof generation, it's constrained, or it's basically set to that specific run of the model itself. So if you take this output of the model, which can be like a paragraph you get from ChatGPT, and then you get that proof, which is like a bunch of numbers, hexadecimal numbers, and you put them into a verifier, which is just a program that calculates if these two values are, so to say, related, are they in the same space. This essentially allow you to verify a specific run with a specific proof. And this allows, so to say, the version control, where if you try to put a proof, a fake proof, or like a correct proof, but with a different run, it will, when going through the verifier, which is a program again, it will just tell you, hey, it's the incorrect run. It's not, the output is not corresponding to this set of inputs and also this proof generated. And then this allows, to a certain extent, the version control that we are talking about, or the verification that you are running the correct thing in the background, even though you don't really run it yourself as the runner of the model. Yeah.
Right. Does it use like homomorphic encryption technology, basically?
As of right now, no, not really. You have to
No.
convert the entire thing into a circuit. But that homomorphic encryption is what the industry is headed towards, I would say.
Mm.
And that will enable a lot more interesting things, especially like very nice privacy by default.
Right. So
Yeah.
you're saying that actually ZK, industry is actually trying to implement more homomorphic encryption.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right now, I believe there's not much of a full homomorphic encryption available, like not just in the blockchain industry, but a lot of
Yeah.
research being done on that. From my understanding, it's not like fully available and it's not fully powerful right now. That you cannot arbitrarily do that. But yes, I believe I think later we'll probably talk about in Pro Crypto. There's a conference about cryptography and programmable cryptography that actually talks a lot about this. Like, hey, how can we move towards using homomorphic encryption? Yeah,
Oh, that's very cool. Thanks, man.
no problem.
Yeah. So, any other questions? Oh, okay. So, thank you to Eason, Wen Kang, and Brian. So let's give a hand of applause. So, on our next session, we're actually going to have Wei Han to share about like his journey as a Ethereum fellowship. Yeah, actually got this image and probably need to press this.
Okay. I think it'll be a short talk about my experience at joining this fellowship program. So it's basically just to give an overview of what this is. It's called Ethereum Protocol Fellowship. Basically, it's a fellowship program that is a program that is done by the Ethereum Foundation, and it's somewhat similar to the Next Billion Fellowship program that was mentioned just now. But the Next Billion one is more like focused on impact and it's more general. But for this protocol fellowship, it's more protocol like core dev, right? So I think if anyone wants to become a Ethereum core dev in general, this is the start. Yeah. So there are two parts in this sharing. So I'll just share about my project, just quickly go through. Try not to be so technical. Then after that, I'll share about my the perks that I get as a fellow and what are my general learnings. Yeah. So yeah, my project title is called Post Vocal State Expiry. So it sounds very technical for non-technical person, but in general, what we are trying to do is to reduce the storage requirements for blockchain nodes, or just to, in general, reduce the amount of redundant data that is being stored on blockchains, so that when nodes get lighter, people can run it. When people can run it, the network gets more decentralized, right? So that's the general goal. But let's first understand the root problem of like what we are trying to solve, right? So 1.06 billion, this is the number of key value pairs on Ethereum as of block 149078111, which is quite, I think a year ago, 1.5 years ago, I believe. But yeah, for now, I think I believe there are about maybe 1.5 billion key value pairs. And when we say key value pairs, what we are referring to are basically your account values and also your storage or contract storage values. So that's the key value pairs. So if we were to break this number down, there are basically only 215 million accounts and 850 millions of storage slots, again as of like 1.5 years ago. So but have you ever wondered, like, how many of these key value pairs are being accessed in the past 6 months, like throughout all the on-chain activities? Like, is it like the entire 1 billion, or is it just like 20 million, 100 million, right? So I've done an analysis and this is the result that I get. So basically, throughout the past 6 months, right, you have only accessed like 30 million accounts and 180 million contract slots. So that accounts for like 19.8% of the total key value pairs on Ethereum. And that also means that in the past 6 months, 80.2% of the other key value pairs are not being accessed at all. So, but we are still storing all this data. So why do you want to store all this data that is not being accessed? Like, they are old data. Like, you could deploy a contract like years ago, and that contract maybe is an active project that is very hot for about a year. A lot of users are using that contract, but after perhaps like right now, no one is using that contract anymore, and the data is still being stored on the blockchain. So why do we want to store that useless data, right? Because no one is using it anymore. So that's where we have the concept of state expiry, where we basically say, okay, we know that there are a lot of data that is not being stored. I mean, there are not data that is redundant, that is so-called expired. So can we just temporarily remove all this data from the network? And then if we were to say, hey, I want it back, then we can recover it, right? So that's basically the gist of it. So you basically have two portions, right? You have the portion of unaccessed data in a long time, and you have also a portion that is considered as active data. So what you essentially want to do is just very simple. You want to just remove it, remove it from the blockchain. You just remain the active data. Then so these are the data that nodes have to store, which are again only even for like, okay, on Ethereum maybe it's about 30%. On like other chains, like the chains that I'm working on, like for BNB Smart Chain, is like also only 30% of the total key value pairs being accessed in the past 1 year, right? So yeah, just store the active data. Then let's say if a user say that, hey, I want my data back. So what you need to do, what the user need to do is just very simple. You submit the a data and also the proof that the data exists in the past, and then the blockchain protocol will verify it. And then if it's correct, then it will just be revived and back to the portion of active data. So that's really simple on how it works, right? So next part is the part that is super technical, and I try not to be technical, which is Vocal tree. So Vocal tree is part of the Ethereum's roadmap on the Verge. It's a very important roadmap because combining Vocal tree and PBS or ePBS and Shrine proposal builder separation, you get stateless nodes, or that means that you can possibly run a validator node on your phone, right? So that's something that I'm looking forward to in the next 5 years. Yeah. But yeah, anyways, I'll try to go through the Vocal tree just to give everyone an understanding on why do we need this and what is this, without going too much details on the cryptographic part and also the data structure part. So let's just first review the current data structure that we are using. We are using Merkle Patricia trie, which looks something like this. This is a binary trie. Binary means that there are only like two nodes, but just for illustration, by actual reality there are 16 nodes on for every level or branch nodes. Okay, whatever. Yeah. So for let's say if you want to generate a Merkle proof of this trie, what I need to do is that, let's say for example it's B, you want to generate a Merkle proof of B. What I need to do is to pass the sister nodes on every level. So it's something like this, right? So to generate a Merkle proof, you need all the red nodes and also the data itself, or the green one. So in total, let's say just a simple illustration, your proof size would be 5 nodes, right? So what Vocal tree is trying to do is that it's it's not a similar structure, but it's a similar concept where you also have a tree structure. But the advantage is that let's say again, your goal is to generate a proof of that value. You don't need to pass the sister nodes as into the proof. You just need to pass the path to the value, right? So that essentially, again, if you look at the proof size in terms of nodes, then this proof size will be just 3 nodes, right? So if you just compare like MPT and Vocal tree, the main difference or the primary advantage that I want to get is basically Vocal tree's proofs are much smaller, right? Why do we want to make it small? Because if they are small, we can just put it into blocks. If we put it into blocks, then we can enable stateless clients. So that's pretty much the goal of Vocal tree, right? So yeah, so this is how the real Vocal tree looks like. I'm not going to go through all the symbols and stuff like that and explain what each node means. But my project basically take this original Vocal tree structure. I basically add a metadata that basically labels, act as the label for the values in the tree, so that we know when is the data being considered as active and when is the data being considered as inactive. If it's active, then we can just discard it. If it's inactive, then we can discard it. If it's active, then we just remain it, right? So that's pretty much the overview on how my research is revolved around. Yeah. So the result of my research so far in the past 4 months is basically I managed to show that we have a 27% storage reduction on only 15 million key value pairs, because when I was doing the analysis, I don't have a powerful machine to do the analysis. So it's very fast. Like if I were to do it on the 1 billion key value pairs, I would have to take probably 1 month to do all the conversion. So that's pretty inefficient. So yeah, but again, with such in my opinion, with such a simple proposal and manage to show that, okay, you get like 27% storage reduction, I think that's pretty okay, right? But yeah, that's pretty much it on my research topic. So next part is more on open sharings on the entire fellowship program. So okay, let's talk about the fun stuff, the perks, right? So the perks is that let's talk about the monetary side. You join as an official fellow, you get they will sponsor you flight ticket to Istanbul, and they will sponsor also you 9 days of stay in free hotel in Istanbul, and it's a 5-star hotel as well. And other than that, yeah, you also get the monthly stipends. So the monthly stipend, you just request an amount, and most likely they'll think that it's reasonable and they'll give you, right? So I've seen like people asking for up to like 3,000 USD per month for this fellowship program. So it really depends on how much you want, and definitely if it's not too high, then they'll just give you. Yeah, so that's more the monetary side. And the non-monetary side, I believe my biggest gains out of this fellowship program is that because you have the title of, oh, you are Ethereum protocol fellow, so when you are approaching the current Ethereum core devs for asking for questions, asking for guidance, they are more likely to help you because they are very busy as well, but because they see that you are a fellow, they are more likely to give you the guidance that you need, right? So through this like title, I get a lot of connections to the core devs among the Ethereum Foundation. So I also got into like private dinner. I also got into even private dinner with the internal technical team. So that's the kind of the things that I want, because really get to understand their inner workings of the team and how I can potentially contribute and maybe join their team in the future. So yeah, I would say that's the biggest gains out of this fellowship program. In terms of the learnings, I would say it's not a kind of program where they will tell you like, okay, step 1 do this, step 2 do this, step 3 do this. This is the thing that we want. Not that kind of like structured program, but it's really like open. You can choose whatever topic that you want. If you're interested in MEV, you can do MEV. If you're interested in like DeFi or any other sorts of protocol related or in general Ethereum technical related projects, you can just pick one and just go for it and find the mentors that are related to it. So in my case, I do, because I've been researching on state related things. That's why I choose like this state expiry plus Vocal tree kind of research direction. So yeah, I think one of the biggest quote that I got from Danny Ryan when it comes to this this core dev development is that you just go to the repo, because everything is open source. You just contribute. Yeah, that's it. And you don't have to start big, like, oh, you just submit a pull request and, oh, this is the awesome feature that is going to be included in the software. I don't think everyone started that way. I think it's just really simple. It can go as simple as fixing typos, right? Danny Ryan himself started by fixing typos. Then after that, now he worked on the merge, right? So that's something that that's one learning that I really resonate to, because after that, I really question myself, like, okay, I know I want this, but I know that I have the ability to do it, so I should just do it, just submit pull requests. And yeah, that's what I've been doing after that. So yeah, fun stuff, and that's pretty much on what I have. So I'm just going to move on to thank you first, and if anyone have any questions, just let me know. Yeah.
How long is the program for again?
4 months, yeah.
4 months.
Yeah.
Are you the only one doing Virtual trees or state related stuff, or are there also people that are doing similar topics?
There were 3, including myself, there were 3 teams kind of doing Virtual tree related, but I'm the only one that's doing state expiry, because state expiry is not really hot. It's not really a hot topic among the core devs community right now. Yeah.
And what happens if you pick a topic that's like super difficult or challenging, and after 4 months you couldn't hit your
goal, let's just say?
I don't think they have they have an expectation. Like they're among all the fellows, their projects ranges for like as easy as just creating dashboards to as complex as simulating a completely new PBS solution. So everyone's skill level is very different. Like even for my case, I guess I'm still relatively inexperienced, but they also have other fellows who have like 20 years of working experience. So I'm not sure what's their criteria in selecting the fellows, but what they really want is just to see you contributing and have some, I guess, tangible results to showcase. But if you fail to do so, they will understand because they are just there to guide you. And this fellowship program is meant to be programmed to onboard people to get into the core dev community, but not to really see, I guess, real life impact. Yeah.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah.
Just now when you talk about the worker tree, the simplifications, in layman term, what causes the simplification? Is it by cryptography, proof, max, or?
Yes, it's because of commitments. Yeah. Kind of not ZK stuff, but basically you have polynomial commitments that that allows you to not to prove that some node belongs to a position in a vector, right? So that's why you don't have to pass. Unlike MPT, you don't have to pass the sister node to prove that a particular node belongs to a position. That I guess that's the most simple way that I can describe. But in general, it's because of polynomial commitments. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, just interested to know.
So I'm aware that the EPF requires essentially, so it has a list of topics for you to choose, and after you choose it, I assume that you have to also come up with the actual thing you are going to achieve. So how is that process? I'm quite curious.
Yeah, maybe I can just talk about the entire process for application until the end. So application process is really simple. You submit a Google form, and the second step, if you are accepted in terms of the general application, then they'll call you for a 30 minutes interview. That's it. Yeah. So I personally believe that Google form is more important because during the interview, they were just asking some general questions like, oh, were you able to commit like 20 hours per day, per week? Per day. No, not per day, but yeah, per week. You know, what's the expected monthly stipends and things like that. So I don't feel like the interview is really like interviewing if you are like a good candidate. So I feel like the Google form is more important. So I think I did some extra stuff. I sent an email to them like, I make a slides of my previous work experience, then and my projects. I previously also participated in hackathon. Then I submitted an email to them. I guess the extra effort kind of helped me to get into this fellowship program because I really feel that there are a bunch of geniuses out there that are in this fellowship program. So I somewhat think that I got lucky, but yeah. So that's the application part. Then for the first 3 weeks, they'll give you some time to explore the space. So they will assume that everyone in the fellowship program, you're not like you may not be familiar with the entire EVM or Ethereum ecosystem at all. So they'll give you some research materials to just read. Then once you read all these materials, then you just choose a topic that you're interested in. So like in week 5 or week 6, you are supposed to come up with a project proposal detailing your research topic, your plans, and your solution for it. So yeah, that's basically how it works until the research, project proposal phase. Then you can also team up with other fellows to complete a certain project as well. Like there are a bunch of teams. Like there was one team from Lambda class, which consists of 4 people plus a bunch of other open source contributors in the fellowship program. I don't know why they are there, but they are there. But yeah, they were building a huge project, which is Ethereum consensus client, from scratch using Elixir programming language. So that's I think the biggest project among the fellowship program. But yeah, after that it's just development, then until the end at Istanbul, you're something called EPF Day, which is a private event. They'll call you for presentation, official presentation. Then after that, they also have they also call you for an exit interview. During the exit interview, they'll ask you like, oh, what's your thoughts after finishing this fellowship program? Any feedbacks for this fellowship program? Would you be interested if EF were to offer you a position in the core dev community, whatever? So that's basically the content of the exit interview. Then after that, yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, so 4 weeks of fellowship program. Yeah, that's basically the full. Yeah.
One more question.
Mhm.
Sorry, regarding, so you're doing state expiry.
Yeah.
I'm quite curious. What do you think about the fact that DA layer right now is also gaining steam, and how does DA layer complement the state expiry that you are, like the state expiry feature that you are trying to do right now? Is it complementary, or
I don't think it's that complementary, because when we talk about state expiry, we are just in general talking about the blockchain state, like the your accounts and your storage contracts. So I believe that's not what the DA layer is trying to do. But and I think why state expiry in general is not a hot topic on Ethereum is because of the fact that we are going to have stateless clients, and also PBS might have PBS in the future, right? So if you have stateless clients and PBS, that means that if you are running a validator, you stake 32 ETH, you run a software that can just validate, you can validate blocks without having the states at all, and also the historical block. That means that your software is going to be very light, potentially can run it on your phone or your maybe just MacBook. I think that's good enough as well. So you, then in that case, the ones that are the actor that's going to need to store all these blocks or all these historical state, historical blocks, and the current state is basically your block builders. And block builders, they are incentivized to build the best block that maximize their, I don't know, MEV and stuff. So they have the capability to run nodes on like a more higher spec machine, right? So then in that case, you kind of don't need state expiry anymore. Because because the most important actor in this case are the validators. So but Vitalik says that himself, I believe he said that we don't really need to care about state expiry maybe until like 8 years later. So yeah. Cool. So I'll pass it back.
Hey, thank you, Wei Han. So following on, we're going to have like a series of community share events. So we can just quickly go through them for 10 minutes. Okay. So So there are actually 2 events that are kind of like the flagship in Devconnect. One of them is Prop Crypto, and this is actually a Barry Whitehead. So it's a very prominent figure in the PSC. So maybe Wen Kang can share a little bit about like what's like the experience as a technical person going to this Prop Crypto event. I believe it's all ZK heavy.
I am a ZK nerd at this point. If you don't know, yeah, you should know. Yeah, I'm a ZK nerd. So this is the only official EF events that I actually bought a ticket to. And Prop Crypto, if you don't know yet, it's programmable cryptography. Basically, how can you use cryptography easily in a way? So what's the tool around building cryptography libraries and tool sets to allow you to use it easily? ZK is one of them. All the ZK programming languages out there are part of what makes Prop Crypto. The event itself, of course, is amazing for me. I'm very biased. There's a lot of big names. Barry Whitehead being one of them. His talk is a very interesting talk. It's a very general talk about essentially how it's a very simple talk, but it's a very interesting talk. That's what I would say. There's also several other talks by many different people in the field on homomorphic encryption, things like new frameworks for ZK VMs. That's one that I'm pretty interested in. There's also a few sharings on what else is it? Featuring on recent advancement or even like techniques that they use for the creation of certain proof systems, which I find very, very interesting. So I can't really go into detail because man, they are all big brains and man, it's very interesting. But yeah, check out the recording, please do. Those are really nice talks. So yeah, I think that's all.
So I actually put the recordings in the form of QR code. So some of the events are recorded, including this one, and some of them are in the next slides as well. But yeah, I'm going to move on to the next slide. So not DevCon. Okay, so this is the event where like even like the core DevCon team, I think most of them went there that morning. So perhaps Harif would like to share a little bit about this event since you attended.
Yeah, basically, not DevCon's done by the ITU University. I think it has the biggest blockchain club in Turkey with, I think, thousands of members, and probably one of the biggest university clubs in the world for blockchains. It was done in their university. I think really nice. The picture probably doesn't quite capture the niceness of the place. And a bunch of students, a bunch of people who don't know about Ethereum or blockchains joined. Had like basically more normie friendly talks about introductory level information about Ethereum, about DevCon, about how you can contribute to the whole space. Yeah, but I think the cool thing is it's done by students, like the MCs, like that guy over there. I think recently graduated, but it's like part of that club. And hopefully, maybe next year, some Malaysian students can do the same thing in KL as well.
Yeah, so the recordings is on YouTube. It's in the QR code. So if you're interested, you can take a look. So I'm going to move on to the next slide. So this one is also an event attended by Harif. It's actually related to the Next Billion fellowships.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Next Billion, I think, is a small team in the EF. I think about 4 or 5 people. And it is the event that's talking about the fellowship that Shenkai shared at the start of the meetup. It's about how you can use Ethereum in the real world. So this was actually going through the kind of the presentations by the fellows from the third batch. So I think this picture, I can't remember his name, but the guy over there in the white shirt on the right side is a journalist, and he is working on how you can sort of incentivize independent journalists so that you can continue to report about things without being influenced by big corporates or people who are pressuring you to fit your story in a certain way. I think he shared his story was he was talking about some, I think, environmental pollution somewhere in Africa, but then his story couldn't go very far because a lot of the important people in that space kind of like pushed down the narrative to influence, let's say, news publishers or websites to not share about his story that he spent years investigating on. So that was one example. There was another example about how this lady is working on this kind of public goods incentivization for museum artifacts that were from Africa, but then got brought over to, let's say, Western countries. And so those museum artifacts are being used to profit those countries. And if there was some sort of system that can be built that could also profit the communities that those artifacts came from, so that while the museum artifact is being sort of enjoyed by people in other parts of the world, some part of that profit can go back to the community that actually came up with that piece of culture. So there's a bunch of other fellowship proposals like that. And yeah, so the 4th batch is happening. So if you know anyone who is into this kind of public good stuff, even if they're not Ethereum friendly or Ethereum aware yet, they can join and then they can come in and contribute and learn. So yeah, so it's I think one of the most interesting events that I've been to, not just in this Devconnect, but other DevCons or Devconnects as well, because it's actually about like applying it in the real world. And a lot of times when stuff like this happens, it gets a bit fluffy. Like, you don't know, sometimes people are just like talking about theoretical ideas and just doing this intellectual pleasing of each other. But this one actually has like people who are actually working on real world problems. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Harif. So let's see what's next. Okay, so this one is actually like, do you guys know that L2 Days and Pro Crypto share the same venue, actually? And also both venues are also 2 days long. So you can see like this is also like one of the flagship events happening in Devconnect. And especially, I think this specific session, Vitalik is actually the conductor of this session. So it's actually the moderator of this with I think people from ETHKL, Polygon, I think Starknet. So these are very very big PPs. So yeah, so they're talking about like how to decentralize rollups. So if you're interested in these sessions, you can check out the link as well. Yeah, this is one of the flagship events in DevCon, and it's quite expensive apparently. Yeah. So the next part, so this one is actually kind of like a mini event per se. So it's actually happening in the co-working space. So this is actually like a meetup, like from I think it's ETHKL. It's like Ethereum community in I think it's Latin America. So this is a meetup where we talk about like there's a lot of similarities in like running a community. Things like we rather have like consistent events going on and versus like big one-off events, and also like trying to get the community very very grassroots, and also like trying to like make sure that the community consistently runs. So these are the common themes that we discuss. And there's one quite interesting part is that like in different communities, there are different preference. For example, like in ETH Berlin, it's in Germany, so they are actually quite focused on privacy and also like privacy. And like in Venezuela, they are actually quite interested in mining. And in Latin America, of course, due to the currency, due to the currency issue, so they are more interested in DeFi. So yeah, this is one of the events that truly inspires me personally, because you get to meet all those Ethereum communities overall, and they are also doing the same thing, running communities. And I think, yep, that's all for today's session. So let's have a group photo. Okay. So.
Stand here. Does everyone stand here or everyone sit?
Oh, everyone sit. Okay.
Also can, whichever gets everyone.
Yeah, so 1, 2, 3. I'm just gonna stand, so up to you. What you want to do? Okay.
All right, thanks. And there's some food. All right.
Yeah, curry pop.
So this free curry pop, I think it's too much curry pop. So please help us finish it. You similar here.